Okay, I've had quite a few questions over the homework, so I'm going to go over a few things. On here, you need to show your work on tables on another sheet of paper. Some people like to do the tables first and then plot it. Even though not all these points will fit on each graph, you have enough at least to draw your straight line to show the relationship. If it is a y equals mx plus b situation, remember that line is not going to go through the origin. If it's something like this that doesn't have a plus or minus your b or your y-intercept, that is going to be proportional and will go through your origin. All right, so I've done the first one for you, and then we're going to do this one on another sheet of paper. Or actually, we might do number 3 on another sheet of paper, okay? All right, so let's look at this. If I wanted to go straight to the graph, all right, this is my M, and this right here is going to be my B. So that means this right here, because it's my y-intercept, okay, that's going to be my y when x is 0. So if x is 0, this right here is going to be my y value. So that is going to be the first point that I plot. So I'm going to go 0, 2, and that is going to be my first line that I plot. So if you will remember, the change in y is going to be the change in y divided by the change in x, or rise over run. Can't write today, apparently. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and to find that, all right, I'm going to go ahead and look here, and it's going to tell me that that rise over run is going to be -3 over 1, because this is not a fraction. So that means I'm going to rise 3, but since it's a -3, I'm going to go down 3, right 1. Down 3, right 1. So I'm going to go down 3, 1, 2, 3, right 1. Down 3, 1, 2, 3, right 1. And as long as I have at least 2 or 3 dots, I can go ahead and draw my line. And I'm terrible with this. I should have a ruler. You can use a straight edge if you want to not look like my line. Okay, so this is your line. It should match whatever we put here. So since it gave you an equation, this says -3 times x. So remember, we made these up. You can use 0, 1, 2, 3 on all your tables. So if I put 0 in place of x right here, -3 times 0 is 0, plus 2 is 2. Okay, so now x equals 1, so I'm going to put 1 right here. So -3 times 1 is -3 plus 2. So if I combine those, use your t-chart if you need to, that's going to be -1. So now x equals 2, so put 2 in place of x. -3 times 2 is going to be -6 plus 2. So if I combine those, that's going to be -4. So put 3 in place of x. -3 times 3 is going to be -9 plus 2 is going to be -7. So I have this done. Technically I'm finished, but I want to show you something. So on the back, you are going to have to find what the change in x over the change in y is, your rise over your run, okay? So if I do that, what's my change in y right here? Well, I'm subtracting 3. It's getting 3 units smaller every time, okay? So here, it's going to be +1, +1. So my rise over my run, the change in y was -3 over the change in x was 1. So -3 divided by 1 was my m, okay? So that's what went right there, -3. And it came from here. So on the back, you're kind of going to work backwards in order to get your equation, all right? And so remember, when x is 0, this is your y-intercept. That's your b, so that's where that plus 2 came from, okay? So we know this is going to be proportional, all right, because it doesn't have a plus anything. So we know that 0, 0 is definitely going to be one of our points on our table. So keep that in mind when you're doing that one, okay? So let's do number 3, okay? So number 3, so I asked you to put your tables on another sheet of paper, okay? So it's kind of up to you whether you want to do this first or this first. It doesn't really matter, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and make these up. And I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to do my table first. So if you put 0 in place of x, you're going to say 0 times 1/2, which is 0, minus 5 is negative 5. All right, so if I put 1 here, 1 times 1/2 is 1/2, minus 5 is going to be negative 4.5. So you can put negative 4.5 or you can put negative 4.5, it doesn't matter. So then you're going to have 2 put in place of x. 2 groups of 1/2 would be 1, minus 5 would be negative 4. So if you're seeing a pattern here, this is going to be negative 3.5. So you're thinking, oh, it's decreasing by 1/2, but think, you are in the negative world. Everything is opposite. We're actually getting closer to 0. So we're actually adding 1/2 each time to get closer to 0, all right? So this is going to be plus 1. So nothing crazy is happening over here. So this literally is giving us our m. That's giving us this. This is m. So mx, and then you've got your b, your negative 5, which was what y value is across from 0. It's negative 5, so we put minus 5. Okay, we've learned a lot that negative 5 minus 5 is both moving left 5 on the number line. So it's that same motion. So if I were to not look at this, okay, it should match this. What's going to happen is this right here is going to tell me that 0, negative 5 is going to be my first plot. So 0, negative 5. Okay. Would be right here. And then I'm going to look at my rise over run. This is rise, this is run. So I'm going to rise 1, run. Sorry, I'm going to rise 1 and go right 2, since that's a positive 2. So I'm going to rise 1, go over 2. Rise 1, go over 2. Rise 1, go over 2. So let's see if any of those match. We've got our 0, negative 5. We've got 1. So if I drew my line, let's see if it would cross where this point is. So over 1, down 4.5. It sure would. Okay, and then we got 2, negative 4. So 2, negative 4. And then 3, negative 3.5. Yes, that would cross where that is. So you can put those points on or not. As long as you have the points on the line, that's good with me. So that's the front. So keep doing that. Keep drawing your tables. On the back, this one is done for you. So since this did not have, so see, we really like it when it has a x value of 0, because that right there is your y-intercept. Okay, that is your b. All right, so I'm going to explain this one so that it makes a little bit more sense to you. If I were to find the change in each one of these, my change in y would be plus 3, so positive 3. My change in x is plus 2. So 3 over 2, I could put 1.5 if I wanted to. All right, I technically put 1.5 here. All of those would be correct. The reason I'm leaving it this way is that you can see on your graph, if you were to graph this, you would start at 0, negative 3, because that's your y-intercept. Okay, that's your b. And you would rise 3 and run 2. rise 3, run 2, rise 3, run 2. And so I wanted you to see that, but technically, yes, you could put 1.5, 1.5 in place of that 3/2. So the way I knew that this was -3 is because this didn't have x as 0 anywhere. Since this was +2, I went back -2 and I put a 0 here. Because this was +3, I went back -3, and that would have been a -3. So that right there, just like it was here, because x is 0 and y is -3, that's where that -3, that -3 came from. So when I write my equation, it's going to be y equals 3/2 times x minus 3. Okay, that's where I got my b, which is my y-intercept. So let's look here. We noticed we had a 0 as x, so our y was -3. So our b, our y-intercept is -3, -3, same thing. So now let's find our change on each of these. It's going to be +3, +3. So our change in y, got to make sure we don't put x first. Our change in y is going to be 3. Our change in x is going to be 3 as well. So 3 divided by 3, I can simplify that pretty easy to 1. So my m is going to be 1, and my b is going to be -3, because that's what was across from 0. And so when I write this, I could technically put 1x, but as you get older, you're going to see that they really don't do that. They don't put that invisible 1 that's there. So that is going to be your equation. I hope that helps.